are going to be predicting the 2026-2027, that's a bit of a mouthful, Premier League table. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. In 20, I have got shock Hull City. I think Hull, they've made a few cute signings. Don't know too much about Hull enough to give them a saving grace here in the league, in the top flight. I know they got quite jammy getting into the Prem from last season. I'm pretty sure weren't the only reason they were in the playoffs was because Southampton was spying on them. Well, not spying on them, but spying on their opponent. So they got fast-tracked into the playoffs and then won the playoff. So fair play to them. But I just don't see Hull staying up, if I'm completely honest. Number 19, going to go with similar sort of thing as what I said about Hull, and it's going to be Ipswich. I think Ipswich haven't really made too many marquee signings that they're jumping out at me. That, you know, like I feel like a lot of teams when they come up from the Prem, they sign players that are already in the Prem, and I don't think they've signed them players. If I just have a little scroll here, we've got some of the transfers up. And Ciso, so that's a good signing to be fair. Lukic from Fulham, also not a bad signing. They've signed Florentino from Burnley. Fatawu from Leicester City, who just got relegated to League One. Issa Diop from Fulham. Not that, to be fair, that's not a bad signing. He looked good for Morocco when he was playing in the World Cup. And then Chuba Akpom on a permanent from Ajax. I believe he was on loan there last season. Could be wrong though. Don't fact check that. They've made some signings, but I just don't see them having the firepower. Like a lot of the signings that they've signed haven't been players that really wow you or take your breath away. I can't really, to be honest, I've gone too much in on Ipswich here. Either way, Ipswich 19. Moving on to number 18. Now, this one might be a bit of a shock, I don't know, but I've gone with Nottingham Forest. I think Forest, they've just got Glasner in as their manager, and we all know Glasner is a fantastic manager. Took Palace to an FA Cup final, won the FA Cup, won the Community Shield, won the Europa Conference League last season. So we know he's a good manager and he does win silverware. But I just think at Forest, they've lost their best player in Anderson now. I believe that their owner, who I'm not even going to try to say his name because it's some big long Greek name, but their owner is a problem, right? And I think him and Glasner, they're just going to clash. I can see it falling apart. To be honest, I don't know if Glasner will end the season with Forest, but obviously the start of the season he is with Forest. I just don't know how they're going to cope without Anderson. He was by far their best player last season. Obviously Gibbs White, they've still managed to retain, so that's good for them. Maybe they might stay up, but in my league table, I've got them finishing the 18th. I've got them going down. 17, that means I have someone staying up. Yes, that is right. I've got Cov City staying up this season. I think they've made some very important signings, to be fair. They brought in the goalkeeper on a permanent, Carl Rushworth. Absolutely fantastic signing for them, to be fair. He carried them in the Championship last year. The fact that Brighton let him go as well is crazy. I don't know if Verbruggen is the answer for Brighton. I think Rushworth could very well be England number one in a few years' time. Still only young, good keeper. And I think he's going to be the difference maker this season in terms of keeping Cov from getting relegated. Obviously, they've brought in Gustavo Hamer back from Sheffield United. I think that's a good signing. And they've brought in Amenda from Frankfurt. Pretty decent team in Germany. Yeah, not too much else to say really. I just think I've got Cov making. They've made important signings. I think they'll stay up this season. 16th, bit of a shocker. I think they've lost too much star power. I can't see them having that good of a season. It all seems to have fell off. The wheels have fell off. The lorry is crashing. Yeah, lorry, car, either way. The car is off the road. It's spun out. It's done a Paul Walker. Maybe that's a bit too much. In 16th, I've got Newcastle. I think they're going to struggle this year. They've lost Bruno Guimaraes to Arsenal. They've lost Gordon to Barcelona. They released Kieran Trippier. Obviously, he's now at Wolves in Championship. They lost Tonali to Spurs. Now, do I think Tonali is... I guess we'll get to that point where I get to Tottenham. But either way, they've lost some key players. And I don't think they've made the suitable replacements. Newcastle are a little bit cooked this season. I've got them down in 16th. Let me know in the comments down below if you think they'll actually have a better season or if you think they'll have a worse season. It's not too crazy to say that Newcastle could go down. Like, we've seen it before. We've seen it before with Villa when they went down. And we've seen it last season with West Ham when they went down. These good squads, if you don't have the key players and you don't make the right signings, you are just going to fall out of this league, unfortunately, because it's so competitive. 15th, I've got Crystal Palace. Don't have Glasner anymore. I think they've managed to retain a lot of their players. They've not made a lot of sales, but obviously they did lose Lacroix to Chelsea, which could be a good signing for them, but it's definitely a bigger loss for Crystal Palace, that one. And they've traded Brennan Johnson for Dwight McNeil. Don't know how I feel about that one. So yeah, Palace in 15th. Fulham I've got in 14th. Arbeloa, ex-Real Madrid manager, ex-Real Madrid player, and he just seems to be turning Fulham into the Real Madrid B team. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. Sunderland I've got in 13th. I think they're going to drop off this season. I think Europa League football as well as Premier League football is going to catch up to them. Obviously, when they've got cup matches as well, that's then going to play a factor. I think they might struggle. I don't think they've made too many big signings as well. They've managed to, I think they've spent all their money last season. So now this season is just retain and try and remain. That's pretty good from me. I'll take that. 12th, I've got Leeds. I think Leeds have made a very good signing in James Trafford. I think the fact that he went to Man City first and then they signed Donnarumma, that is just piss poor from them. We'll see how it plays out. I think Trafford going to Leeds is a great signing for them. I think he will be a bit of a difference maker, and I think he'll bump them up the table a little bit. If they can get Calvert-Lewin as well to not hit a purple patch and just hit more of a, if he can maintain his goal-scoring output, then I think Leeds could be on for a decent season. I've got them just finishing out of the top 10 in 12th. Okay, so just ahead of Leeds in 12th, I've got Everton just missing out on a top 10 in 11th. They are a pain in the arse to play against. Their low block, I swear I dread playing Everton in the Premier League. And we've got to do it twice more, so fuming. I think Everton will do okay. Obviously, Moyes, old school manager, but he'll defo keep them out of the relegation battle. I think this season, I think their squad's too strong, and to be honest, there's a lot of squads in this season that I think they're going to struggle. So they've signed Hayden Hackney from the Championship, who is a fantastic player, to be fair. Yeah, good player all round. Will he be able to take to the Premier League? I don't see how he doesn't. I think he's class. Yeah, good signing. Obviously, they've signed Norgard as well from Arsenal. Won the Prem last year, just in case you forgot. They've finally got Dwight McNeil off their books as well. And they brought in Brennan Johnson, who I think is the better player. So overall, I think Everton will be 11th. Coming in at 10th, so top 10 now, I've got Brentford. Obviously, they've lost Jordan Henderson now to Chelsea, which we'll talk about a bit later on in the video. Signed Jadon Anthony from Burnley. Good signing. Yeah, overall, I don't really have much to say about Brentford. They're Brentford and Brighton. So Brighton, I've got 9th. I just think the pair of them are they're very consistent. They're very well-run clubs. They've got good players in their squad, enough to keep them flirting with that European football. So I think we may as well do 10 and 9 together, because Brentford and Brighton, I don't really know what else to say about them. Only difference with Brighton is they've signed Vuskovic, who was on loan at Hoffenheim last season, played for Spurs, but didn't actually play any football whatsoever at Spurs. I don't think he's even made an appearance for them. So he went out for 40 mil, so that's a good signing for them. I think he got goal of the season in the Bundesliga last year. So wonder if he can get goal of the season for Brighton in the Prem. Who knows? Moving up into 8th, I've got Aston Villa. They've lost Morgan Rogers. Emery is a very good manager for them. I think he's like the king of just taking over sort of them teams that are just tickling the top. They've got just enough money to sort of play around with. He'll build a good squad and he'll get you some trophies along the way. So I think Villa will actually be fine. Obviously, they've got Champions League football this season as well. So yeah, losing Morgan Rogers could be a big one, but I just think Villa, they're too stable of a team to not perform this season. They'll definitely take points off all the lower teams. So yeah, I've got Villa in 8th. In 7th, I've got Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth, another one like Brentford and Brighton. I think they surprised everyone last year with their team got ripped apart. Their team got absolutely ripped apart, and they've somehow managed to rebuild in just 2 windows. And if anything, they pushed on from where they were before. So yeah, I think Bournemouth. I mean, it's good for their fans. It's good for their club to be in European football. I know they've had to get like a little extension on their stadium. Yeah, I think Bournemouth will be okay. Obviously, Junior Krupi as well. What a player, by the way. Whoever manages to grab him, unbelievable. So we're down to the top 6. And obviously, I've not mentioned any of the top 6 sides yet, or the classic Prem top 6. That's because I think everyone's going to have a good enough season to reach top 6 for once. I don't actually think anyone's going to drop out and have a stinker like Spurs have for the last couple of seasons. In 6th, I'm going with Man United. I think Carrick, 2 games a week, was fine. But Carrick playing in the Champions League as well. I don't know if Carrick's going to be the man to get him over the line. I think Carrick could drop generational stinkers. I know they've been trying to rebuild their midfield. Andre Santos from Chelsea, who looked like an okay player. Do I think he's going to change much? I don't know. I've not really been following him on pre-season, so obviously they've got Kobe Mainu, who I think deserves more minutes, deserves more game time. Since Carrick's come in, obviously he's gave him that. Can he be Casemiro's replacement? I don't know. These are all the answers we're going to find out this season. So finishing ahead of them, I've got Tottenham Hotspur this season. I think it's hard for them not to bounce back this season. Look at the signings that they've made. Jesus Christ, like who haven't they signed? They've signed Tonali, they've signed Van Heck, they've signed Savinho. I've just seen has been here we go'd. So I mean, bang average winger of course, but 86 mil, that's ridiculous. They've signed Senesi from Bournemouth, another one that Bournemouth has had to let go on a free, I think it was. Dubravka, who, to be fair, is probably better than Vicario. Vicario is pants. And Mateus Fernandes from West Ham as well. So they've spent a lot of money, so they can't afford to have another bad season. I think their owner defo looked at their situation, seen that they've been getting pumped for the last 2 seasons, and decided, do you know what? I need to just send an influxation of cash into this club, and we need to try and rebuild. And I think they've done a pretty good job of rebuilding. I guess we'll see what they'll do this season, but I've got them still finishing outside the top 4. I think they've signed that many players, it will probably take them a little while just to gel. And obviously, I hate Tottenham, so I'd happily have seen them get relegated last season, but unfortunately it didn't happen. I'm going to go with 5th for Spurs. Then it gets controversial. We're talking top 4 now. We're talking Champions League football. Now, I do think Man City will get in the top 4. I don't think they're going to drop off that much, but I've got Man City in 4th. I think Enzo Maresca has got a lot to live up to with Pep Guardiola. Obviously, the Centurions and doubles and triples and everything else coming out their ears. Yeah, now they've got to sign that over to another bold man. And a bold man that's a little bit of a fraud. I don't know if Maresca is the answer. Can he take over the reins from Pep Guardiola? Can anyone? As I said in a previous video, to be fair, I think the only person that could answer for Pep Guardiola would probably be Arteta. Obviously, because he just trained, like he basically brought him up with him. So it's a bit like Jedi Master and Luke Skywalker. That's what I'm trying to compare there. Bold prediction here. I think Maresca gets sacked by Jan. That's what I'm calling. I reckon that it is a downward spiral for Manchester City since Pepper's gone, since Rodri's gone. Obviously, they've made some signings like Elliot Anderson. I think that's a good signing. I think it will come good in the end. But obviously, what we saw in the Community Shield the other day, I know it's a glorified friendly, but listen, it's not like he's going to be tearing up trees straight away, I don't think. Going into 3rd place now, so top 3, I've gone with Liverpool. Iriola has proven to be a very, very good manager. I think it's exactly what Liverpool needed since losing Klopp. I think Slot obviously came in, won the league first season, but that's a bit of an anomaly. That's a bit of a just out of nowhere. I think if anything, it was more Arsenal dropping points at crucial times that let Liverpool back in that race. And I'd say that's more on us, more than what Slot did. Because listen, we saw what Slot did. They threw cash at that team last season, and look at what happened to them. They were the worst defending champions I think we've ever seen, and they stink. But this season, Wirtz has had a whole season under his belt. Isak's back from injury. Ekatike will be coming back, and Ekatike is a player, by the way. I just think Liverpool will steady the ship, and I think they'll steer to a solid third, and that's good for them because last season they were shit. Now it's down to the top two. So who have I got two? Who have I got one? You can probably imagine where I'm going to go with this, but I think Arsenal. Nah, come on. Chelsea in second, Arsenal in first, but we'll get on to Arsenal. Chelsea, I think they've brought in Alonso, and it's exactly what they needed. They needed a coach. They needed someone that has respect from everyone else, from the Premier League, from other leagues. He's Spanish. He's like probably one of the best midfielders during that time. Some people may say he's going to be a fantastic coach for Chelsea. He obviously had a fantastic season at Leverkusen, and Chelsea have made good signings. I just don't see how this doesn't work. I think it is too good of a relationship. It's quite romantic. However, I'm sure Liverpool are gritting their teeth because they would have loved Alonso. So the fact that they've not gone for him, that's a bit shocking. But yeah, I'm going to put Chelsea just missing out. I say just missing out, to be fair. I'm just going to have them second because in first, who would have thought? It's going to be the boys. It's going to be Arsenal. I don't see how we don't dog walk this league this season. We are by far the best team in this league. We almost were the best team in Europe as well. We've built a squad big enough and well-rounded enough to take on this league. And actually, I think we're gonna piss this league, if I'm honest. Maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself because I watched Community Shield. We battered Man City 3-0, and maybe that was a poor Man City side, and other teams have been making improvements. Our team didn't need that many more improvements. We've got some of the best defenders in the world, on the planet. Yeah, we've got some of the best midfielders in the world. I just don't see how anyone can take it to us this season. You would have argued Man City, but I think that performance the other day pretty much shows they're not it right now. Chelsea have obviously got a new manager in. I think that's great for them, but I still think they're in a rebuilding process. Spurs made lots of players, but let's be honest, when the Spurs ever going to win the league in my lifetime? And I think Liverpool have got good players coming back, but they've also got quite an aging squad. Yeah, I mean, that's my prediction, guys. I think Arsenal, like I said, I think they piss it. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Let me know if you think I'm just absolutely gassing myself up. Let me know what your top 4 is in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hype the video. And we'll be back. When we'll be back? We'll be back Thursday for a Arsenal versus Cov preview and a predicted lineup. Alright, cheers guys.